Hello, everyone, and welcome to our September Object Talk, part of our monthly Object Talk series. My name is Lisa, and I'm the Senior Learning Manager at the Jewish Museum London. So every month, as you probably know, we release a monthly Object Talk, which highlights one object from our collection of over 40,000 objects. So this month, I have selected an object that links to the theme of Rosh Hashanah and the High Holy Days. As these festival days are coming up, the next major festival days in the Jewish year. Now, a couple things to understand, first of all, about the Jewish calendar. So the Jewish calendar follows a lunar cycle, so it follows the moon rather than the sun. Now, the Jewish calendar actually begins in the month of Nisan, which is in the spring, so usually around March or April with the festival of Passover. So that's the first month in the year. However, the new year, the Jewish New Year, actually begins in the 7th month of the year, which is the month of Tishrei. And Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, takes place on the first day of the month of Tishrei. And Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, takes place 10 days later. This year, Rosh Hashanah begins in the evening of Sunday, the 25th of September, and all Jewish festivals actually begin in the evening before. So I'm going to share my screen now so that you can view the object from our collection. Brilliant. So we are now looking at the object I've selected, and what we're looking at is actually a program of services and events that was held at Brixton Synagogue over the Rosh Hashanah period in the year 5706 in the Hebrew calendar or 1945 in the English calendar. Now, the booklet, it's 4 pages long. It lists out all of the different services that are being held at Brixton Synagogue for the High Holy Days. So everything from the Rosh Hashanah services to Yom Kippur, also including Sukkot and Simchat Torah. So I'll go first. You can see in the inside here, we can see the services for Sukkot, as I mentioned, for Simchat Torah, and also including a welcome message for everybody who's attending the services. And then it lists out as well different religion classes offered at the synagogue, various cultural and charitable events that are occurring, and just sort of other relevant news and information. So you can see, for example, on the back here, they've appointed a new secretary to the synagogue. They've listed out their office hours. So just lots of useful information in this booklet. Now, I've mentioned that this booklet comes to us from Brixton Synagogue. And so the congregation in Brixton Synagogue was formed in 1905. However, the actual building itself wasn't opened until 1913. So before the synagogue actually opened, there were services that were held in Carlton Hall until about 1909, and at 44 Brixton Hill until the synagogue was finally opened in 1913. When it was opened, it was located at 49 Ephra Road, and the building was actually renovated and enlarged in 1921, and then reconsecrated on the 25th of September that same year. Brixton Synagogue followed the Ashkenazi Orthodox tradition and was a part of the United Synagogue since the building opened in 1913. Now, in 1961, the congregation grew when Brixton Synagogue actually merged with Borough Synagogue. So Borough Synagogue had existed, and the congregation was a bit too small to run on its own. So Brixton Synagogue actually incorporated the congregation of Borough Synagogue into its membership. And at its height, the height of membership to Brixton Synagogue was in the 1960s. And we have recorded in our collection that at this time, there were approximately 614 male members of the synagogue. Also during this time, there was a thriving Jewish community in Brixton. The neighborhood in the 60s had a kosher butcher, it had a Jewish deli, and there were many Jewish-owned shops in the market as well. However, over the years, the community gradually moved elsewhere in London, and eventually Brixton Synagogue closed in the early 1980s when the congregation was then merged into Streatham Synagogue. And Streatham Synagogue was actually then renamed the Streatham and District Synagogue, and today was known as the South London Synagogue. However, sadly, very recently, on the 31st of December 2021, 31st December 2021, South London Synagogue closed due to declining numbers. Now, this program comes to us from 1945, which would have been, as we can imagine, a very significant new year, as the Second World War would have just come to a recent end. And this feeling, this sentiment is really evident in the message, in the welcome message, wishing peace to all as society is rebuilt together. So I'll read a little bit of the welcome message out loud, as you can see here. It says that the synagogue extends a hearty welcome to all those who have returned to the district and to all newcomers. It is sincerely hoped that all of us together, old and new, will help make the synagogue a powerful force in Jewish life and preserve and enrich our heritage for generations. It goes on to say later on in the last paragraph, may the dawn of 5706 bring rest and security in its wake to our stricken brethren on the continent, a happy reunion of our families here, and peace to men the world over. So you can really see those feelings about rebuilding society after the war are really strong in the welcome message. This year, as I've mentioned, Rosh Hashanah begins the evening of Sunday, 25th of September. At this time, Jewish people all over the world will be gathering together in synagogues and in homes to celebrate the arrival of the new year. In synagogue, the shofar, which is a musical instrument made from a ram's horn, is blown 100 times, and people will start to reflect on the new year that has just been as they prepare for the next year that's about to come. It's very traditional in many Jewish communities to eat sweet foods at this time of year, such as honey cake, foods with dates or date syrup, or pomegranates as well, to symbolize the sweetness of the coming year and also the number of commandments in the Torah. We'll eat challah bread, the traditional Jewish bread, and instead of its traditional plaited shape, often eaten on Shabbat, on Friday nights, challah for Rosh Hashanah is often round, which symbolizes the cycle of the year, the circle of the year, and the seasons that come and go. Now, over 70 years have passed since this program was released from Brixton Synagogue. And even though the message in the booklet is very much of its time, echoing the feeling at the end of the Second World War, I think there is parts of it we can still very much relate to today, wishing peace to everybody all over the world. So from all of us at the Jewish Museum London, we wish everybody a Shana Tova, a happy new year for this year to come, this Rosh Hashanah. And thank you so very much for joining me for this month's Object Talk. And do join us next month, the first Wednesday of every month at 12 noon UK time for our next Object Talk. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully see you soon.